什么？她被封为大庆第一女将军，还受职殿前司副都指挥使，那岂不是品阶比我还高？这。
They thought I was a broken woman to be discarded, but the emperor's decree proved I am a storm they cannot weather. But before I became the first general of Daking, I was just a wife leaving her heart behind with a man I trusted.
5 years ago, I promised to wait, never imagining she would return with a rank that would dwarf my own. Back then, her departure was my freedom. I didn't know it was the start of a debt I could never repay.
I returned unannounced, dreaming of the warmth of my husband's embrace. Instead, I found a domestic portrait that didn't include me. My husband, the man who swore to wait, was playing father to a child that wasn't mine in a courtyard that belonged to me.
The moment she pushed open that door, my blood turned to ice. The submissive girl I married had been replaced by a cold-eyed general. I had built a perfect life with Jinshi, and now, the woman who made it all possible was back to tear it down.
Watching him shield his mistress and their bastards made me realize I was the stranger in my own home. They spoke of filial piety and family lines, but all I saw was a den of thieves. I didn't want to fight. I wanted to wash the filth of this marriage off my hands.
好，那给我一枝鹤梨树，我便成全你们。
If they want to play house in my residence, they can do it in the dirt. I cleared out the trash, starting with the mistress's silks and the children's toys. Every item thrown into the mud was a piece of the lie I had lived for 5 years.
我给的。
She was acting like a madwoman, destroying Jinshi's belongings without a shred of grace. This wasn't the woman I married. This was a monster from the battlefield who had forgotten how to be a proper wife. I tried to stand my ground, to show her that I was still the master of this house. But when she pointed that spear at me, I saw the killing intent in her eyes. She wasn't bluffing. She was ready to strike down the man she once loved.
什么？错了！
He wanted to play the hero for his secret family? Fine. I gave him a taste of the steel I used to defend the borders. If he wants to protect them, he can start by surviving me. The betrayal went deeper than flesh. I found my mother's gold hairpins, treasures from my dowry, pinned to the head of a woman who had spent years stealing my life. The Liu family didn't just want a wife. They wanted a bank they could rob while I was away bleeding for the country.
这不是我嫁妆里的金钗吗？怎么会戴在她的头上？
She was making a scene over a few pieces of jewelry. We are family. What's mine is hers, and what's hers is mine. Her greed was showing, and it was embarrassing to the entire Earl's residence.
The true horror was finding my nanny, the woman who raised me, locked away in the servants' quarters like a dying animal. They had silenced her to keep their secrets safe, waiting for her to wither away while they feasted on my wealth.
他们怕我跟你通风报信，将我关了起来，想将我熬病熬死。
Every tear she shed was a debt written in blood. I realized then that a simple divorce wasn't enough. I wanted them to lose everything, just as they had tried to take everything from me. The walls of the Lu Manor was suffocating me with their hypocrisy. I needed the emperor's authority to break these chains. The next morning, I traded the domestic war for the political one, heading to the palace to claim the power I had earned on the front lines. Standing before the emperor, I didn't ask for rewards for my husband. I asked for my own official post. With Prince Ning's support, I secured the position of vice commander. Now, I am no longer just a wife. I am Lu Mingyuan's superior.
多谢陛下恩准。殿前司副都指挥使乃3品，比陆明远高上一阶。如此一来，合理就容易多了。
Prince Ning spoke of a lost love, a woman who married another while he was away on a mission. I felt a pang of sympathy for him, never suspecting for a moment that the woman he was mourning was the one standing right in front of him.
我记得你好像就比我大2、3岁吧？这都25了，怎么还没有娶妃啊？
His gaze was heavy with a sorrow I couldn't quite name. In this city of lies, his honesty was the only thing that felt real.
She's hiding the details of the royal decree, but I know it must be the reward I've been waiting for. She can act tough all she wants, but in the end, her success is my success. I can't wait to see the looks on my colleagues' faces when I finally rise.
圣旨，那必然是大封赏。
夫妇一体，我的荣光便是你的荣光，知道这个道理。忙着。
Look at him, practically salivating at the thought of more power. He thinks he's about to ascend to the heavens on my wings. Let him dream. When that decree arrives, it won't be his salvation, it will be the first nail in his coffin. The real revenge is only just beginning.
自然是要拿回我的嫁妆。
Their crash will be satisfying. It's time to reclaim my stolen dowry.
母亲要操持着伯父，还得照顾父亲，这么小的事就不劳母亲费心了，还是我自己保管为好。请母亲将钥匙交还你。
I walked into my mother-in-law's room, not as a submissive daughter-in-law, but as a creditor. She tried to play the safekeeping card, but her eyes shifted like a cornered rat. She knows the vault is emptier than her excuses. She scurried off to tend to my father's medicine the moment I pressed her. It's a pathetic delay tactic. If they won't hand over the keys, I'll just have to break the locks. I can't fight this battle with a few elderly servants. I needed muscle, and I knew exactly where to find it. I sent a gift to Prince Ning, a silent request for the kind of men who don't ask questions and don't take no for an answer.
While I was busy dreaming of my next promotion, Jinya was already moving pieces on a board I didn't even know existed. She was reaching out to the most powerful man in the capital, and I was too arrogant to notice the storm clouds gathering.
还有人做什么？这样，明日叫几个机灵一点的，路面少一些的，去东平伯府，听候风将军吩咐。
The next morning I didn't knock. I brought my borrowed friends and stormed into the mistress's courtyard. Watching those pampered maids scatter like leaves in a gale was the first real breath of fresh air I've had since I returned.
怎么回事？姐姐，你这是要做什么？
My nanny's voice trembled as she listed the treasures my father had saved for me 10 miles of red dowry, now gutted like a carcass. I watched them haul my belongings out, item by item. Everything they stole, I'm taking back with interest.
把这些都搬出去吧。对了，照着嫁妆清单一样样清点，拿了我的都给我吐出来。
I rushed home to find my residence in chaos. Jinyue was acting like a common bandit, looting her own husband's house. I tried to remind her of her place, of the law that says a wife's property is her husband's, but she just looked at me with that insufferable disdain.
这说的是何话？这些东西本来就是我的，闹什么呀？
The inventory was a joke. Thousands of ounces of silver, gold ingots, and rare silks all vanished. Then I looked at the mistress. My missing pearls were around her neck, my gold hairpins in her hair. They didn't even have the decency to hide their theft.
我不仅要供姑妹嫁，孝敬公婆，供养夫君，这我还得替夫君供养妻儿。他头上戴的，脖上挂的，手上戴的，身上穿的，不就是我丢失的金簪、珠链、玉镯、锦缎吗？
She actually threatened to sue us. I had to laugh. She's a woman with no family in the city. To sue me, she'd need a male relative to represent her, and she'd face 2 years in prison just for filing the charge. I held all the cards, and I made sure she knew it.
风金月，别不识抬举，我乃4匹侍郎，你妇人并无诉权。想要提告我，得由你族中男子代劳，且自身也得徒2年。别忘了，你在京城根本就没有族亲。再者，我要是休了你，你什么都带不走。
They were so smug, so certain of my helplessness. Even when the imperial eunuch arrived, my mother-in-law was already spending the promotion rewards she thought were for her son. I just waited for the punchline.
这么多赏赐，陛下还是看重我伯父啊！等着吧，待我儿加官进爵，必定修累，另娶高门贵女。
The silence that followed was deafening. First female general of Daqing, deputy commander of the palace commandery. I watched the color drain from Lu Mingyuan's face as he realized his wife now outranked him. The lone woman they tried to crush just became their superior officer.
什么？她被封为大庆第1女将军，还受职殿前司副都指挥使，那岂不是品阶比我还高？这
I tried to threaten her with divorce again, but the rules had changed. She's an official now. Divorcing her isn't a domestic matter anymore. It's a state affair that has to be argued before the emperor. She was using my own weapons against me.
我如今可是有官职在身，你若想休了我，必须得上朝堂。陆侍郎要是有本事，可敢上朝堂与圣上与百官论上一论？
I ordered my men to reclaim my belongings, ignoring their protests. While I was reclaiming my house, Prince Ning was reclaiming my honor in the shadows. He didn't just send soldiers, he was hunting for the evidence that would bury Lu Mingyuan's career for good.
想来是这些年过得太过顺遂了。对，收集陆明远错漏失职之书，交由御史台上奏弹劾。
At the palace commandery, Xie Zhao pulled me aside. He looked at me with a concern that felt dangerously close to something else. He was angry that I hadn't told him about the abuse at home, as if my burdens were somehow his to carry.
你在东平伯府被欺负了，为什么不同我讲？
I told him I could handle it. I've survived 5 years of war. I can survive one treacherous husband. But having him in my corner, it's a luxury I'm not used to.
My mother is convinced that Jinyu still loves me, that her anger is just jealousy. She's hatched a plan to tame her to get her pregnant, so she'll have a weakness, a reason to stay and obey. It sounds desperate, but I'm out of options.
They think a child will be the chain that binds me back to their rotting house. They're still treating me like a girl who can be manipulated with sweet talk and domestic traps. They have no idea that the woman they're plotting against died on the battlefield years ago.
待她怀孕生下孩子，便有了软肋，日后便生不出脾气了，只能乖乖顺从，乖乖听话。
Let them plot. Let them think they've found my soft spot. Every move they make only gives me more reason to burn their world to the ground. Will their perfect plan be their salvation, or the very thing that finally destroys the Lu name?
你别忘了我们母子3人就行。我不像姐姐，有做将军的父亲，自身还有官职。我除了你，可什么都没有了。
I thought moving out of my own courtyard was a small price to pay for my future. If I could just keep Jinyu happy for a while, the family status would be secured. I promised my sweet cousin that this was all just a temporary act. I told her my heart only belongs to her. While I was busy playing the devoted lover to one woman and the dutiful husband to another, I didn't realize Jinyo was already planning to burn the whole house down.
我的地方岂是他想来就来、想住就住的？扔出去！
While Lu Mingyuan was busy playing house with his cousin, he actually had the nerve to try and move his things into my pavilion. He thinks he can just stroll back into my life whenever he pleases, as if the last 5 years didn't happen.
I rushed back to find my belongings being treated like trash. Jinyue wasn't just throwing things out, she was on a warpath. She looked at my prized possessions with such disdain that it made my skin crawl.
我不仅扔，我还要砸！
She shattered my favorite celadon teapot right in front of me. This woman isn't a wife anymore. She's a force of nature I can no longer control.
He tried to remind me whose house this was, but he forgot that I'm the one with the sword. I'm done playing the role of the submissive daughter-in-law. From now on, he's nothing more than filth that needs to be purged from my sight.
那就看你有没有这个本事了。阮秀，不许任何脏东西进我的房间。若是强入，只管给他打出。
I gave my guards a simple order. If he tries to cross that threshold, treat him like an invading enemy. Watching him stumble back in fear was the most satisfying thing I've seen all day.
Being humiliated in front of the servants was the final straw. I went back to my cousin fuming. She saw my desperation and offered a solution that was as dark as it was effective.
我听说有一种酒，喝下便能叫人神思不明，浑身酥软。
A little poison to make her obedient. It was a cowardly move, but if it meant regaining my status and the Feng family's influence, I was willing to sink that low.
While Lu was busy plotting his little schemes, I had to deal with a different kind of nuisance at the palace commandery. Luo Yuhuan, the premier's spoiled daughter, decided to block my path just to show off her nasty temper.
是，我是风金月。见过罗六小。
She was looking for a fight, but I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction. I faced barbarian hordes. A pampered brat is nothing. Just as the girl was about to boil over, Xie Zhao appeared. He didn't waste any time with pleasantries and went straight for the throat, warning her to behave or face the consequences.
再这么胡闹，我让林默送你回府了。
Seeing him defend me so openly in front of his own cousin, it felt strange. It's been a long time since anyone stood in front of me to take the heat. To make up for the drama, Xie Zhao took me to a tavern. He even remembered the exact wine I used to love when we were stationed at the border. For a moment, the politics and the betrayal felt a world away.
我们一起喝酒，应该是5、6年前了吧。
We sat there reminiscing about the days when our only worry was the next enemy charge. I missed that simplicity, and I think he did too.
I followed her, convinced I'd catch her in the middle of a scandalous affair. I burst into the room ready to ruin her, but the man sitting across from her wasn't some random soldier.
好你个大胆狂徒，竟敢勾引伯府少夫人！我。
The moment Xie Zhao turned around, my blood ran cold. I had just insulted the prince, the man who could end my career with a single word. I dropped to my knees so fast my joints popped.
还请殿下恕罪，臣乃无心之失啊！
Watching Lu Mingyuan crawl on the floor was the best entertainment I've had in years. He tried to act like the victim, but I wasn't about to let him hide behind his misunderstanding.
你与表妹有情，也未曾告知我。若我早就知晓，也不会做那阻人姻缘的恶人。
I aired his dirty laundry right in front of the prince. If he wanted a scandal, I was happy to give him one that would stick to his name forever.
Back at the mansion, I tried to regain some shred of dignity. I thought I could use my rights as a husband to force her into submission, to remind her who she belonged to.
好，我今天晚上就让你知道什么叫为妻之道。坐。
I reached for her, but before I could even touch her, she had me pinned. She didn't just reject me. She looked at me with a level of violence that told me our marriage was truly over.
He actually thought he could lay hands on me. I decided to show him exactly what it means to cross a general. I'm done with his lies, his betrayals, and his pathetic attempts at control.
陆明远，欺骗、辜负是要付出代价的，我定要有恶无当初。
The next day, I told Xie Zhao my final decision. I wasn't just going to fight the Lu family from within. I was going to cut them out of my life entirely. I told him I was going to divorce that coward.
我没事，这陆明远他都不会武功，揍他活动筋骨都不够，哪能受伤啊？
He was shocked, but I could see the relief in his eyes too. I've spent too long fighting for a family that didn't deserve me. It's time to fight for myself. I told him of my father's support, and he promised to stand by me.
陆明远他欺负我，我是绝对不会容忍的。我已经写信给父亲，想必父亲他定会支持我。不过说好了，你不许凶我的。
He promised to be my shield in the capital. With him in my corner, I'm not just a woman seeking a divorce. I'm a storm coming for the Lu family. But in a city built on reputation and secrets, will our alliance be enough to survive the coming backlash?
什么？反了他了！哎呀，就因为大哥娶了表姐，生下星河，他竟敢耍性子动手打人！这放眼整个上京，谁会娶她这种粗鄙无教之人？她能够嫁进伯府，对她来讲已经是莫大荣幸了。她竟如此不知好歹。
The Lu family sharpened their claws, mourning the dowry they had stolen.
今晚家宴，让风清月喝下片刻。
Desperate, they plotted to use poison to make me compliant.
The invitation to dinner at Changchun residence arrived like a poorly disguised trap. My maid, Ruan Xiu, and the old nanny begged me not to go, sensing the malice behind the sudden hospitality. But I've survived barbarian ambushes. A family dinner is child's play.
这明枪易躲，暗箭难防，躲得了今日，躲不了明日。与其畏惧退缩，不如迎面而上。我倒要看看他们到底耍什么花样。
The banquet was set, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a blade. My mother and sister were playing their parts perfectly, acting as if all the bitterness of the past few days had vanished. They kept pushing the wine, specifically the jar we had prepared for her.
They were so eager to see me drink that they practically tripped over themselves. Qingyao was all smiles, calling me a role model for women, while her eyes searched for any sign of the drug taking hold. I decided to give them the performance they wanted.
大嫂，这酒柔和得很，喝不醉的。再说了，这一夜啊，可长着呢。
I waited for her to weaken, but a strange heat consumed me instead.
I sat there calmly, watching the sweat break out on Lu Mingyuan's forehead. He looked like a man possessed, his eyes darting around in confusion. The trap he set was closing, but not on me. The drug was far more potent than I expected. Lu Mingyuan lost all sense of reality, lunging forward with a glazed look in his eyes. In his delirium, he couldn't even recognize his own blood, grabbing his sister Qingyao as if she were the prize he'd been promised. As the Lu family scrambled to hide the scandal, I walked out into the cool night air. Ruan Xu had been one step ahead of them, swapping the wine jars before the first drop was poured. They thought they were poisoning a general, but they only succeeded in poisoning their own son.
我听见了他们谈话，偷偷调换了酒壶顺序，否则中招的便是姑娘了。
The next morning, the Earl's manor was buzzing with shame. I walked into the room to find Lu Mingyuan looking pathetic, caught red-handed with 2 maids. My mother-in-law tried to play it off as a drunken mistake, but I wasn't about to let them off the hook so easily.
这怎么了？这二人犯了何事啊？
I expected Jinyue to scream, to throw a tantrum, or to use this as an excuse to leave. But she just stood there, with that terrifyingly calm smile. She didn't want a divorce yet. She wanted to humiliate me by forcing me to take those servants as concubines right in front of my pregnant mistress.
If he wants to be a beast, I'll give him a full stable. I watched the color drain from Fan Jinshi's face as I graciously expanded her husband's harem. It was a masterclass in revenge, and I enjoyed every second of their silence.
不然，这还能如何啊？啊，我还要当值，我就先走了。
The concubine scandal was just the beginning. Ruan Xiu told me the Lu family was still stalling on returning my dowry, probably hoping I'd forget about it in the chaos. They don't realize that a soldier never leaves her supplies behind. If they won't give it back, I'll tear the mask off this entire family.
不还，我就撕烂他们的脸。
Patrolling with Xie Zhao, I finally felt like myself again.
你把这儿整理一下，一会儿同我去东街一起去了。
We were talking about the future, about the clean break I needed to make. I told him I didn't want his charity or his protection out of pity. But Xie Zhao looked at me with an intensity that made the surrounding market noise fade away. He wasn't looking for a subordinate, he was looking for a partner.
可我想娶的王妃只有你。
Our moment was shattered by a sudden commotion. Luo Yihuan, the premier's spoiled daughter, had managed to get herself into a life-threatening situation in the middle of the street. My instincts took over before I could even think about who she was. I saved her life, but I knew I wouldn't get a thank you.
孤门在我，一定要小心。今天幸好有金月救了。
The girl was as ungrateful as she was arrogant, snapping at me for interfering, even though she'd be dead without me. I've dealt with enough brats in the Lu family to last a lifetime. I decided to give her a reality check that she wouldn't forget.
让王爷再救你一次。你敢嘲笑我？
Xie Zhao finally had enough and sent her packing. But the look Luo Yihuan gave me was full of pure, unadulterated venom. I've made a powerful enemy today, one who has the premier's ear and a heart full of spite. As she disappeared into the crowd, I couldn't help but wonder, is this the spark that will set the entire capital on fire?
我要诅咒你！
满月之期就要到了，我搜空府库，拿出自己积攒多年的私银，还是远远不够。
The 15-day deadline for the debt is looming like a guillotine over the Lu family. My mother-in-law is scraping the bottom of the barrel, but her greed still outweighs her sense of honor.
I watched my mother beg for my sister's dowry, feeling the walls of the Earl's manor closing in. We were desperate, and in this house, desperation always breeds monsters. Qingyao's plan was dark, a trap set for the old madam's birthday banquet. I hesitated, but my mother's tears and the fear of public shame were far stronger than my flickering conscience.
大哥，必受其害！大哥，不可不仁之人呐！
They think they're whispering in the shadows, but I can smell the rot of their conspiracy from a mile away. Let them plot. I've survived far worse than a family of vipers. Lu Mingyuan tried to play the devoted husband card one last time, hoping to guilt-trip me into forgetting the fortune they stole. He's forgotten that I'm no longer the girl who waited for him to come home.
你就非要如此狠心绝情相逼吗？你就不念半点夫妻之情？
Her coldness is like a blade. I warned her not to push me, But she doesn't realize that a cornered beast will bite anything to survive, even the hand it once held.
Soon, I will reclaim my freedom and my father's legacy.
这后日便是半月之期，等拿到了嫁妆，就立刻跟他们提婚。
I told Ruan Shu to pack our things. We aren't just leaving, we're making a clean break from this nest of vipers once and for all. The banquet was a sea of fake smiles and hidden daggers. Qingyao was parading me around like a trophy, all while sharpening the axe behind her back. I decided to give her the show she wanted.
是我大嫂，咱们女子的楷模。
Seeing her shine in that crowd, being praised by everyone while I languished in debt, only fueled my resentment. If I can't have her loyalty, I'll have her ruin.
Luo Yihuan tried to flaunt her palace trinkets, but she forgot who she was talking to. I've stood before the emperor himself. Her little hairpins are nothing compared to the weight of imperial favor.
确实很一致，跟前些日子圣上赏赐我的那一箱子一模一样。
The trap was as clumsy as a drunken soldier, a spilled drink, a helpful sister-in-law, and a secluded room I could see the strings of the puppet show before the first act even began.
嫂子，我带你去厢房换身衣裳吧。
I followed her with a smile, curious to see just how low they were willing to sink to keep my money. The scent of knockout smoke filled the air, a coward's weapon. Qingyao's face twisted into something demonic as she revealed her true intent, to destroy my reputation with a lowly servant.
不肯与我大哥同府，带着这卑鄙下人同府去。
She thinks she's won, but she's forgotten that a general never enters a room without knowing all the exits. It's time to turn the tables.
We burst into the room, my mother and I, ready to witness Jinyue's disgrace and finally have our reason for divorce. But when the covers were pulled back, the world stopped spinning.
偷情的人怎么变成青瑶了？
I walked into the room like a ghost, returning to haunt its killers. The shock on their faces was the sweetest victory I've tasted since the battlefield.
因为，
She stood there, untouched and radiant, while my family's honor crumbled into the dirt at her feet. I realized then that we had never been her match. The Li family didn't hesitate. They threw my sister out like trash, her reputation shattered beyond repair. My mother's wails filled the air, but I was paralyzed by the disaster.
我儿说的是，这样的毒妇不配做我李家的少夫人。今日便休她出门。
One down, many more to go. The debt is being paid, piece by bloody piece. Lu Qingyao is just the first to fall. They still thought they could punish me with a divorce, as if being cast out of this den of thieves was a tragedy. I decided to correct their misunderstanding with authority.
如今可不是他要休我，而是我要跟他和离。
I am a court official, a fact they conveniently chose to ignore. Plotting against me isn't just a family feud, it's a capital crime. I watched the arrogance drain from their faces as the law set in.
陆侍郎，你可知谋害朝廷命官是何罪名？还有，陆二小姐，你是把本王当不存在了？
Qingyao's screams for mercy are just the beginning. The Lu family is finally learning that you don't declare war on a general unless you're prepared to lose everything. But as the gates of the Earl's manor tremble, I wonder what other secrets are hidden in the capital's shadows.
小儿，若是他被告上官府，这朝氏怕是遮掩不住了，李家也跟着丢脸啊！
The Lu family is finally choking on their own lies. As the Li family threatens to drag their scandal before the emperor, I can see the fear in Lu Mingyuan's eyes. He is about to lose the only thing he loves more than himself, his reputation. They are desperate to settle this behind closed doors, but the price of silence is higher than they can afford.
I thought I could salvage some dignity, but my mother's greed is bottomless. She is already eyeing the dowry Qingyao brought into the Li family, the very same dowry that belongs to Jinyue. It is a desperate, shameful gamble to use one woman's stolen wealth to pay off another's debt, and I am forced to play along just to keep the Earl's manor from collapsing.
青瑶当年嫁入李家，用的是风金月的嫁妆天妆。如今你们不肯归还青瑶的嫁妆，我们便无法归还风金月。今日之事，便平不了。
你们真是无耻至极！
Seeing her stand there, untouched and radiant, I finally feel the weight of my choices. I traded a diamond for a piece of glass, and now the glass is shattered. I wonder if things would be different if I hadn't been so cowardly, if I hadn't hidden the truth. But it's too late for regrets now.
是我没有瞒着他另娶生子，一切会不会不一样？
He looks at me with those pathetic, tearful eyes, searching for a ghost of the woman who used to love him, but that woman died on the battlefield. I am no longer a wife or a victim. I am a free woman, and the shackles of the Lu family are finally broken.
The shock hit me like a physical blow. Jinyue didn't just have military rank, she had the backing of Prince Ning himself. My sister's screams of hatred are just the echoes of our own failure. We thought we were playing a game with a lonely soldier, but we were actually declaring war on a power we can't even fathom.
风金月和宁王相识，这凭什么？凭什么好事都让风金月占尽了，还害我被休妻出门？
Freedom tastes better than any victory on the battlefield. To celebrate my divorce, I'm spending my money on a feast that would make the emperor jealous. Luo Yihuan is more excited than I am. But she's right, this isn't just a meal, it's a declaration of a new life.
是为了庆祝他和离，这么大的喜事，怎么能不吃最好的席面啊？
Xie Zhao is more than just an ally. He's the only one who truly understands the weight of this divorce. When he asked for my papers, I didn't hesitate. He promised me a gift, and in this city of vipers, his word is the only thing I trust.
音乐，把你的和离书给我。
News of the divorce spread, leaving the Lu family truly penniless.
我与风清月和离了，你去把他东西收拾出来，明日交还于他。
I came to take back what's mine, with the prince's men.
既然他们不讲道理，我们也不必讲。动手！
Lu Qingyao tried to hide her theft, but I recognized my father's jade bracelet.
他这手上的玉镯是我的嫁妆。
The final blow isn't about money, it's about the truth. Lu Mingyuan climbed to his position on my father's blood and my sweat, pretending he was a man of talent. I want him to feel the ground vanish beneath him, to know that every step he takes in that court is a step on borrowed time.
我只是提醒你，你靠我和我爹的军功得来的势力，你可得做得了彰显。
I am leaving this den of vipers, and I am taking everything. Even a broken chair is better used as firewood in my home than left for these ingrates. Ruanxiu and the others are right, we won't leave them a single thread to remember me by. Tonight, the general's mansion will be filled with laughter while this place rots in silence.
我只是提醒你，你靠我和我爹的军功得来的势力，你可得做得了彰显。
The city watched as the Lu family's reputation was dragged through the gutter.
我们将军与东平伯府陆明远和离，今日搬嫁妆回将军府。
The debt is paid, and the vipers are scattered. But as I step back into my father's halls, a new shadow looms over the capital. Who else was pulling the strings while I was away at war? And what other secrets are hidden in the heart of the palace?
吴叔，田婶，我回来了。
I am home, but the peace feels like a temporary truce. I've swapped the battlefield for a city of vipers, yet I finally feel I belong. The old servant's eyes are full of tears, and their warmth is the first honest thing I've felt since I returned. There really is no place more comfortable than home, even if that home is now a fortress in a city of vipers. Luo Yuhuan is fuming over her missing invitation. She wants the spectacle, but her resentment is just background noise to my new life.
他昨日和离我也帮忙了，他今天寿宴为什么不请我？忘恩负义！
Xie Zhao warned his cousin, but I saw the mischief in her eyes.
那是他的归家宴，休得无理取闹。
Luo Yuhuan thought a jade caterpillar would make me scream like a sheltered lady who's never seen a speck of dirt. She spent all afternoon finding the perfect scary gift, forgetting that I've slept in trenches filled with real monsters and waded through rivers of blood. Her little prank backfired the moment I looked her in the eye and smiled. A bug? She has no idea what real fear looks like.
我从小在边关长大，时常上山下海，豺狼虎豹我都不怕，又岂会怕这小小的虫子？
But Shi Shao, always the strategist, turned her insult into a blessing before the tension could ruin the night. A caterpillar turning into a butterfly, a symbol of a new beginning. He's weaving a safety net around me, one gesture at a time, turning every attack into an opportunity for growth. Xie Zhao gave me the ultimate weapon, divorce papers sealed by the emperor.
他想的真是周到，如此一来，往后就不怕陆家借此生事，也能堵住他人闲言碎语。多谢王爷。
He gave me a rhino whip, a weapon suited for a general reclaiming her place.
这是犀牛鞭，材质坚韧，适宜你平时佩戴使用。
The banquet was a blur of laughter and wine, a rare moment of joy in this treacherous city. But as the guests departed and the noise faded, the silence of the garden pulled me toward the moonlight. The wine had loosened my tongue and my guard, making the world feel soft and full of possibilities. I wasn't alone. Xie Zhao was there, his presence as steady as the stars above, watching me with an intensity that made the night air feel warm. Under the moonlight, the air grew heavy with things unsaid. I was drunk on freedom and the beauty of the night, admitting feelings I should have kept guarded behind my armor. I told him he was handsome, that everything was beautiful. Then he asked the question that changed the trajectory of my life. He didn't ask for my hand, he asked for my heart.
那你愿意做我的王妃吗？
I tried to push him away with the rumors of his impending marriage to Luo Yuhuan, a shield to protect myself from the hope he was offering, but he didn't flinch. His voice was a vow in the dark, cutting through my doubts with a single devastating truth. I woke with no memory of the night, but Ruangshu's face told me everything.
王爷抱他。
Xie Zhao teased me about the night before, enjoying my obvious discomfort.
你就真的不记得了？半年都不记得？
He's cornering me, physically and emotionally, claiming I told him I liked him. My mind is a blank slate, but my heart is racing. Did I really confess my feelings in a drunken stupor? The way he looks at me now, it's like he's waiting for me to say it again, sober. I tried to hide behind the logic of the court, telling him he deserves a virtuous lady from a noble family, not a crude general who's already been married once. I call myself a divorcee, a label meant to end the conversation. But Xie Zhao isn't looking for a trophy to display. He's looking for the woman who stood by his side. He stood there and swore a vow that no man in this entire capital would ever dare to make, promising me a future I never thought possible.
你是王爷，娶妻应当要娶贤良淑德的大家闺秀。我呢，粗鄙的武将， 再说，我现在还是合理之身。
Stripped of rank and pride, I am drowning in the mud of my own making. We are just beggars in silk robes now.
变得这般俗气势，
Without Jinyue, we are nothing. But the storm for her is just beginning.
那儿臣便今生不娶。这么多年，我也该知道儿臣的决心。
Xie Zhao fought for me in the palace, defying the empress's expectations. He is gambling his future on me, declaring war against tradition. The peace broke when Luo Yuhuan vanished from the temple.
他出生礼服被人掳走了。
A minister's daughter snatched in broad daylight. This wasn't a simple kidnapping. It was a brazen challenge to the city's security. As the details emerged, it became clear that Yuhuan wasn't the first. A shadow was stalking the women of the capital, and the local magistrate was completely out of his depth.
The storm is tearing my house apart. My sister is missing, and we are helpless.
这可如何是好？青瑶一个姑娘家都失踪3日了。
I used to be the one in control, the one who decided everyone's fate. Now, I'm just a beggar in silk robes, watching as even the powerful Luo family falls victim to the same darkness. If a minister's daughter can be taken, what hope is there for a family that's already fallen from grace?
The investigation led us to a single, chilling commonality, Zhiwa Temple. Every missing woman had gone there seeking a love fortune. It was too perfect to be a coincidence. The temple wasn't just a place of prayer, it was a marketplace for human lives. To catch the wolf, I decided to act as the bait.
那这问题定然就出现在九华寺里。为今之计，只有以身入局。明日我便扮作香客前去。
He hated the idea. His fear for me was a physical thing, a tension that made the air in the room feel heavy. But Xie Zhao knows me better than anyone. I don't hide behind walls. I break them. I told him I could handle myself, but the look in his eyes said he wouldn't be far behind. Juhua Temple felt like a trap the moment I stepped inside. The air was thick with incense and secrets. The abbot looked at me not as a soul to be saved, but as a prize to be appraised. He handed me a fortune stick with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, promising me a destiny I had already planned for.
36天，恭喜施主，姻缘已到。
A perfect pair made in heaven. The irony wasn't lost on me. My destiny was waiting just outside the temple gates, sharpened and hungry. I played the part of the overjoyed maiden, accepting his blessed sachet as if it were a holy relic, while my mind was already mapping the escape routes. The attack came exactly where we expected. On the lonely road back from the temple, the wood suddenly spat out a band of armed men. They didn't want our money, they wanted the cargo inside the carriage. I had to play the part of the terrified lady, a role I haven't practiced since I was a child.
好汉饶命！好汉饶命！
The bandit leader was arrogant, thinking he'd caught a helpless bird. He didn't realize he was inviting a hawk into his nest. As they began to bind our hands, I made sure to look just weak enough to keep them from suspecting the truth.
你们都给我绑起来带回去！
As the ropes bit into my wrists, I felt a grim satisfaction. I was exactly where I needed to be. The Black Wolf Stockade was no longer a mystery. It was my next battlefield. In the bandit camp, I found Lu Qingyao, still full of venom despite her chains.
金月，挺有今天。
She was still trying to score points in a game that was already over. I had to remind her that in this cage, her family name was worthless and her screaming would only get us killed. Survival doesn't care about your pedigree. And right now, I was the only thing standing between her and a very dark end. I whispered the truth to Luo Yuhuan, trying to keep her from shattering under the weight of her terror. I wasn't a victim. I was the vanguard. I told her to keep her voice down and her head up. Xie Zhao was coming, and he wasn't coming alone.
等王爷大人来救我。
I could almost feel his presence in the surrounding woods, a storm gathering force in the darkness. All I had to do was hold the line and ensure these girls didn't panic before the signal. The bandits were celebrating their haul, oblivious to the fact that their walls were already crumbling. Steel and screams shattered the night as Xie Zhao attacked the gate. The chaos was my cue. While Xie Zhao's men drew the bandits' fire at the main gate, I began to dismantle the cage from the inside. The time for playing the victim was over. It was time to show these monsters why they should have never touched a woman of the Feng family. The signal flare announced our victory to the world.
喂，是风打的小的。
有人攻打在黑狼寨。
The bandits realized too late that their prey was actually the hunter. They realized too late that the prey they had snatched was actually the hunter.
你去看着他们。
I didn't give them a single second to regroup. A bandit's loyalty lasts only as long as his head is attached to his neck, and once the first blade fell, their brotherhood turned into a slaughterhouse. They tried to move the girls like cattle, but every exit was already blocked by my steel. By the time the sun rose, the Black Wolf Stockade was nothing but a memory and a pile of ashes. The leader tried to grab a hostage, but I broke his spirit instantly.
抓那几个不够功的，能抓几个事情赶上。
I broke his spirit before I even drew my sword. These monsters were never a match for a woman who had survived the northern borders. As the dust settled, Xie Zhao's hands felt like home.
你受伤了。
The bandits were cleared, and the girls were safe. But the journey back to the capital felt different. The dust of the Black Wolf Stockade was behind us, yet the political storm in the palace was just starting to brew.
Watching them from the shadows, I realized the man I once looked down upon had become something I could never be. Jinyu had found a partner who stood beside her, not a parasite who fed off her. Even Luo Yihuan finally saw the truth I was too arrogant to admit.
我感觉他们好般配。
The sight of them together was a sharper blade than any bandit's sword. I was the one who had been truly discarded.
Back at the palace, the battle shifted from swords to whispers. Luo Yihuan, surprisingly matured by her brush with death, decided to force the hand of the court. She didn't just ask for a reward, she demanded a future for the woman who saved her life.
远在天边，近在眼前。
The emperor saw rare military talent, a woman who could lead armies and solve crimes with equal grace. Even the empress realized that standing against this tide would only leave her isolated. She finally let go of the leash, though her smile remained as cold as a palace floor.
若我在横加阻拦，岂不是要做棒打鸳鸯的恶人？
The gate was finally open, and for the first time I could see a path that didn't involve blood and steel. The words of the imperial decree felt like the final seal on my new life. No longer a divorcee to be mocked by the capital, but a princess to be feared and respected. I knelt as a soldier of the Feng family, and rose as a woman who had finally won her own war.
贤良端方，品貌出众，朕与皇后公闻之甚悦，如与宁王情投意合，堪称良配。特将如许配宁王为王妃。
I accepted the decree with a steady hand, knowing that every scar I carried had led me to this moment.
The news hit our house like a death knell. My parents realized their last hope of power was gone, and Qingyao finally understood that her petty malice had only paved the way for Jinyu's triumph. Her screams were the only thing left of our family's pride.
贱人！我北修还没毁了容，怎么就做了宁王妃？
The night was quiet as we stood together, the weight of the past finally lifting from my shoulders. Xie Zhao finally laid his heart bare, revealing a devotion that had survived years of silence and war.
一见钟情。
But in a court built on lies, can a love this bright truly survive? The wedding is set, but the shadows are already lengthening. Is this the end of my struggle, or just the beginning of a much more dangerous game?